The world watched in awe. White smoke billowed from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. A new pope had been chosen. But this time history was truly being made. For the first time in centuries, the leader of the Catholic Church hailed from Asia. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the charismatic Archbishop of Manila, had ascended to the throne of St. Peter. This was no accident. Tagle's election was the culmination of years of careful planning and behind-the-scenes maneuvering within the Vatican. A confluence of factors, both strategic and spiritual, had aligned to bring about this momentous shift in the Catholic world. The weight of expectation now rested on the shoulders of this unassuming yet powerful figure from the East. Could he navigate the complex web of Vatican politics while staying true to his pastoral roots? Could he bridge the growing divide between conservative and progressive factions within the Church? Only time would tell. But for now, the Catholic world was filled with a sense of hope and anticipation. A new era had begun. The whispers started long before the conclave. Pope Francis, aging and facing health challenges, desired a successor who shared his vision of a more inclusive church. Cardinal Tagle, with his warm demeanor and focus on the marginalized, seemed a perfect fit. Key Vatican figures, including Cardinal Pietro Parolin, recognized Tagle's potential. They discreetly built support for the Filipino cardinal. This was no easy feat. The church was divided, and many traditionalists viewed Tagle's progressive views with suspicion. But the reformers had Pope Francis's charisma on their side. The Pope's popularity, especially among younger Catholics, revitalized the Church. His subtle endorsement of Tagle carried immense weight. When the conclave came, the stage was set. The cardinals, secluded within the Sistine Chapel, felt the weight of history. The Church needed a leader for the 21st century. In Cardinal Tagle, they saw that leader. Luis Antonio Tagle's journey to the papacy was deeply rooted in his humble beginnings. Born in 1957 in Manila, Philippines, to a devout Catholic family, Tagle's faith was nurtured from a young age. His parents, a bank teller and a foreman, instilled in him the values of humility, service, and compassion. Tagle's theological journey was marked by a keen intellect and a deep empathy for the marginalized. He excelled in his studies, obtaining a doctorate in theology from the Pontifical Gregorian University in Rome. His doctoral dissertation focused on the evolving understanding of episcopal collegiality in the Church, foreshadowing his future emphasis on collaboration and dialogue. Throughout his career, Tagle demonstrated a remarkable ability to connect with people from all walks of life. He was as comfortable discussing complex theological issues with scholars as he was sharing a meal with the homeless on the streets of Manila. His warmth, humor, and genuine concern for others endeared him to people across cultures and continents. Tagle's rise through the ranks of the Church was steady and impressive. He served as Bishop of Imus, where his focus on social justice and his innovative pastoral programs earned him widespread admiration. In 2011, he was appointed Archbishop of Manila, a position of immense influence in the predominantly Catholic Philippines. As Archbishop of Manila, Tagle faced daunting challenges. The Philippines, despite its strong Catholic tradition, was grappling with poverty, inequality, and corruption. Tagle tackled these issues head-on, using his platform to speak out against injustice and to advocate for the poor and marginalized. He established programs to provide food, shelter, and education to the city's poorest residents. He spoke out forcefully against government corruption and human rights abuses. His leadership went beyond words. He led by example, often visiting slums and disaster-stricken areas to offer comfort and support. Tagle's influence extended far beyond the Philippines. He served as president of Caritas Internationalis, a global network of Catholic relief and development organizations. In this role, he traveled extensively, witnessing firsthand the plight of the poor and marginalized around the world. He used his position to advocate for social justice, peace, and environmental sustainability. His leadership at Caritas Internationalis cemented his reputation as a compassionate and effective advocate for the global poor. He challenged world leaders to address the root causes of poverty and inequality. He called for greater solidarity between rich and poor nations. His message resonated with millions around the world, earning him the respect of people of all faiths and backgrounds. A global church embraces its new leader. The news of Cardinal Tagle's election sent shockwaves through the Catholic world. For many, it was a moment of immense joy and celebration. In the Philippines, church bells rang out and people danced in the streets. Across Asia, from South Korea to India, Catholics rejoiced at the elevation of one of their own to the highest office in the church. World leaders too expressed their congratulations. Many saw in Tagle a potential bridge builder, a leader who could foster dialogue and understanding between different cultures and religions. His commitment to social justice and his track record of working with the poor resonated with people of all faiths. Yet, not everyone was happy with the choice. Within the Vatican, conservative factions, already uneasy with Pope Francis's reforms, viewed Tagle's election with alarm. They feared his progressive views on social issues would lead to a weakening of church doctrine. Conservative Catholic media outlets expressed skepticism, some even suggesting that Tagle's election was part of a liberal takeover of the church. Their anxieties reflected a deeper division within Catholicism, one that Tagle would have to navigate carefully if he hoped to unite the church behind his leadership. Navigating conservative waters challenges ahead for Pope Tagle. As Pope, Tagle inherited a church grappling with numerous challenges. Internally, he faced the daunting task of bridging the growing divide between liberals and conservatives. Debates over issues like homosexuality, divorce, and the role of women threatened to tear the church apart. Externally, the church was reeling from sex abuse scandals. Trust in the church's hierarchy had been shaken. Tagle needed to restore trust and offer healing to victims. The rise of secularism, especially in Europe and North America, added to these challenges. The church's teachings were increasingly at odds with secular values. Tagle needed to make the church's message relevant to a new generation. The task was monumental, but those who knew Tagle believed he was up to the challenge. His deep faith and ability to connect with people gave hope he could lead the church through this turbulent period. A vision for the future: inclusivity, dialogue, and social justice. In his first public address as Pope, Tagle laid out his vision for the Catholic Church, a church that was inclusive, compassionate, and engaged with the world. He spoke of the need to welcome those who had felt marginalized, to listen to the voices of the poor and the oppressed, and to work for a more just and equitable world. He emphasized the importance of dialogue, both within the church and with other faiths and cultures. He called for a spirit of humility and openness, urging Catholics to engage with those who held different views with respect and understanding. Tagle's vision was rooted in his own experiences growing up in the Philippines. He had seen firsthand the power of faith to bring hope and healing to those who were suffering. He believed that the church, at its best, could be a force for good in the world, a beacon of hope in a world often shrouded in darkness. His words resonated with many Catholics, particularly those who had felt marginalized or ignored by the church in the past. Here at last was a pope who seemed to understand their struggles, who spoke their language, who offered a message of hope and inclusion. The weight of tradition, the winds of change. Tagle's papacy was marked by a delicate balancing act. He was deeply respectful of church tradition, yet unafraid to challenge the status quo when he felt it was necessary. He believed in the power of dialogue and persuasion, but was also willing to make tough decisions when needed. He initiated reforms aimed at making the Vatican more transparent and accountable. He streamlined the process for annulments, making it easier for divorced Catholics to remarry within the church. He appointed more women to positions of leadership within the Vatican, recognizing the vital role women played in the life of the church. These reforms were met with mixed reactions. Many Catholics, particularly in the developing world, welcomed the changes, seeing them as long overdue. Others, however, particularly within the conservative wing of the church, viewed them with suspicion, fearing that Tagle was straying too far from tradition. Despite the opposition, Tagle pressed on, driven by his conviction that the church needed to adapt to the changing times if it wanted to remain relevant in the 21st century. He knew that change was never easy, but he believed that it was essential for the church's growth and renewal. A legacy of unity and hope. As Pope Tagle's papacy progressed, his legacy began to take shape. He would be remembered as a pope of dialogue, a bridge builder, who sought to unite a divided church. His emphasis on social justice and commitment to the poor resonated far beyond the Vatican. He became a leading voice on the global stage, urging world leaders to address climate change and promote peace. His reforms helped create a more transparent and inclusive church. He opened doors for women and lay people, empowering all members to share their gifts. Despite challenges, he remained a beacon of hope and unity. His legacy, like Pope Francis, is one of renewal, reform, and commitment to the gospel message. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more insightful videos and intriguing content.